Thank you to those who are joining us today for number 2 of our social media series with the wonderful team from Brand Catalyzer. Last week was a really fantastic overview, and I encourage everyone to go back and watch that again. We'll record these sessions. I know a lot of people are watching it after the fact, so we'll keep recording and have them popped up. We'll send a link through. Helani will be sharing a link with you all to watch back later. And as we accumulate all these different recordings, they'll all be available for you to watch as a group. So I will hand over to Christy and Jenny. Thanks again, the team at Brand Catalyzer, to take us through week 2.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kay. Thanks, Helani, for organizing all of this. And welcome everyone for the second session about the workshops. And let me just quickly share my screen. Great. Hopefully by then you can see my screen now, and I will share in the presentation mode. Perfect. I believe everyone can see my screen now, and welcome for the second session of the workshops. And the first session that we talked about the overview of the consumer behaviors in the wine drinker and also the category. And today we will dive into the e-commerce landscape. And just to start with, thanks for everyone that just quick intro of how from outside. I'm Christy, the head of the client solutions at the Brand Catalyzer, and also I've got Jenny here who will joining me as the co-presenters throughout the whole trainings. And for Brand Catalyzer, we are a FMCG focused go-to-market strategy and consulting agency. So we work with the Victoria business, especially wine industry, that to helping you incubating and potentially grow further to expanding to the China, to grow from 0 to 1, 1 to 10 growth. So for the strengthening the wine industry that from Brand Catalyzer, that just want to quickly highlight here that we are very well connected with the wine educators and the sommeliers in China, and also we're specialized in integrating for your online and offline channels, that given that these industries are heavily tied back to the traditional retail sectors, and as how we grow in the economics and also the whole landscape, I think the e-commerce is one of the big category and a touch point that the business needs to start to be aware and also preparing for this growth. And for the wine industry, of course, that the tasting is very important component for the consumers to in touch with the wine and have a feel of the tasting from the B2B and the B2C as well. And also we have the team to be in the market to support for the trade channels, to facilitate like the road shows and different activities that to showcase your wine towards the distributor, retailers, resellers, etc. But last but not least, the field trip is also another big elements that for your wineries and your wine to be in touch and providing the in-person experience for those wine educators and the consumers in China. So in all, our go-to-market solutions are combined with the distribution and the marketing. So before I go into the content for the workshop 2, I just want to quickly highlight of the 7 insights that we have talked about from the first workshops that I think it's going to set us in a very good foundation to understand the whole holistically in the market, as well as today's content. So the first one, if you remember that by the statistics shows that the China is ranking number 1 in the wine consumption among APAC regions. If your winery or if your business is looking to this APAC, especially going outside of Australia, but within the APAC region. So China is still the biggest consumption destination there for the wine consumption, given the population and also the size of the market is still very important destination. And the second one, which is also very interesting, aligned with the insight that I've gathered from the wine educators from the Familiar Trade recently. So the demand of the white wine has increased by around 32% and rosé by 14.2% post-COVID. So this is a really good insight for Victorian wineries, I think, just because the wine that we're offering from Victoria are very diverse, especially for the Chardonnay and also for the Sauvignon Blanc. So those are the amazingly produced from Victoria wines. I think it's a really good to see that the demand has increased in the China market. So it's no longer dominated by the heavy Shiraz. It's yeah. And the third one, so the latest survey has shows that the semi-sweet is the most preferred taste of wine by Chinese consumers. I think this insight has also taken consideration of the female consumers are growing, as well as the age groups has kind of like started from the early stage. So the entry level wine is actually more preferred now by the whole nation, just because it's a skewed towards the female drinker, and also more and more young people started to appreciate wine. And the fourth one, so brand is more important than origin when it comes down to the wine choice. So whether it's coming from Australia or US, I think when the consumers coming down to the choices, they still have a very strong brand recognition that to dominate and determine their behavior when they purchasing the wine. So it's a good insight for us that not only we need to promote as a region for the wine, but also you have to think about how you differentiate your brand from the other brands that are in the market. And the next one is around 55% of wine consumptions happens online. Well, online growth is in an average 8% over the last 2 years. So by end of this year or next year, it's going to be around 60% of the online consumption of the wine versus the offline. So mainly happened around the JD, Tmall, Red, and the Douyin, which I will deep dive into those channels later on. And the sixth one is Little Red Book. If you haven't heard about this, I would recommend you to have a search and have a look at what this channel is. So currently, Little Red Book is leading the food and beverage marketing in China market. So Little Red Book is one of the most used product review and also the brand recognition. So it's kind of like a combined with the product review and also Google review, as well as the social media like Instagram and Facebook, TikTok, etc. So everything's combined into one platform that the consumers are very incentivized to share their experience, share their the favorite brand, and also the wine that they have recently appreciated. So all of those content are organically shared by the consumers, but at the same time, the brand is able to have that branded account that through the Little Red Book to building the bridge from the brand to connect it to the consumers. And last but not least, the top 3 wine consumption scenarios are family gatherings, business banquets, and the wedding receptions. This hasn't been changed significantly, but I think 10 years ago, the business banquet has been ranking number 1. So now slightly different. So the family gathering or the social gatherings has been dominate the scenario of the wine consumptions. All right, so hopefully those insights are useful and helpful for your decision making. But a quickly highlight or recap of the advantages of the Australian and the Victorian wine. So from the whole economic landscape wise, that I think given the recent changes of the policy, this is definitely give the Australian and the Victorian wine a really good advantage of entering this market, just comparing to all the other countries' wine like US and the Chile's, etc. So they are still need to pay for the tax. However, for Australian wines now, given the ease of the relationship and also the new policies has released, so we are technically has no barriers that to enter in the market. We have the advantage of taking the zero tax, and also currently from the whole research and also the market insights that have shows that the taste preferred by the Chinese are more towards this white wine and also light body wine, which are offered from Victorian wineries, I believe. And also another good insight is from the experience of those wine educators coming from the China, that they've been through pretty much almost the regions of the Victoria. So the key highlight of what they have enjoyed and also feel like the Victorian wine has really good value for money. And the last but not least, the innovation and or innovative winemaking techniques from Victoria has definitely set us into a very premium range, and also the category that we are competing with in the whole global market in the wine. But yeah, so this is the really much the recap of what we have talked about in the past, and set the really good starting point after today's session. So we're going to deep dive into the whole Chinese economic landscape and talk you through of what sort of those touch points from online and offline among Chinese consumers towards the beverage and the drinks. Understand that most of the wineries that I believe are still heavily relying on the retail offline channels. But nowadays, that when consumers are purchasing a product, is no longer just rely on single touch point. The behaviors are changing, and also of multiple touch points throughout the online, offline, and maybe it's a combination of the brand recognitions throughout those journeys, and then the decision is making mostly online or offline. It's depends on their experience and also how long this journey that the brand is designed for them. So yeah, so there will be three big component today. Quickly talk you through of the demographic of the Chinese consumers, and then e-commerce landscape, and then the touch points. So in the first session that we mentioned about the very top level of the Chinese consumer behaviors in the wine industry or wine drinker, and today we coming down to very deep in-depth insight of the demographics of those wine drinker in China. So there are three key insights from this data. If we look at the left side of the graph, so we break down into the gender and also age groups. From the left side is male consumers, therefore for the alcohol and the drinks. If we look through from the younger generations, most of them are still into the spirits and also beer, and gradually the age group between the 31 to 40 years old are started to appreciate wine. However, this is looking at the whole nationwide in China, hasn't really break down into like a tier 1 or tier 2, tier 3 cities. So if we look at the whole holistically nationwide data, so for the male consumers, that the age group between 31 to 40 is the group that who are appreciating wine. And on the opposite side, for the female drinkers or female consumers, that they started to appreciate wine at a very younger age, from 18. Hopefully they are more than 18. So this is the interesting insight to say that the female consumers are kind of like in terms of the age groups are spread a little bit wider than male. I believe this is also heavily associated with the culture, which is rooted in the Chinese way of living, everything, and also for the wine, the concept has been introduced from the Western countries a long time ago. So before wine introduced to China, I believe most of people are aware that the in China we have a very strong baijiu culture. So there are a handful of the significant baijiu brands there who are still dominant in the market. So it's also associated with like the strong spirits that are favored by male. However, that has been changed significantly, I think, especially in the tier 1, tier 2 cities. I think the wine drinker are more spread out across a wider age groups. So the left side is more like the nationwide holistically. So when you deciding your strategy in the China, it's still worth to look into the tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities because the demographic are slightly different, and also based on your offering from the wine to identify who are your target audience. And on the right side, for the male and the female, even though in the female category that the age groups are more a wider range from 18 to 40 years old. However, by 2023, the data has shows that the consumption proportion still dominant by male, so they are still drinking more than female. However, for the online consumption, which is very interesting, so in 2023, the numbers of the post-95 women, which is the Gen Z, they are consuming alcohol has surpassed that of men, so accounting for more than 50% of online alcohol consumption. So the younger female now are started to drinking more than male. Not sure if that's a good sign or not. But yeah, so I think that leads to the next point of the young consumer markets. I think this is the key driver for the next 5 to 10 years time. Even a lot of the baijiu brands there who are traditionally focusing on the older generation, like 30 plus years old or maybe even 40 plus years old, they started to come into the young generation market by introducing some fun things that trying to work away from the baijiu is associated with the old people drinking culture. So this is how important of those Gen Z or the younger generation market are important for the whole consumptions. So focusing on the young consumers now, just looking at the size of the market. So there are around 490 million potential young drinkers, and that equals to around 400 billion RMB of the market size. So it's still significantly important for all the alcohol and the drinks business. And their behaviors are slightly different from the older generations. I think it's also similar to all the other countries as well. When what you see the parents are doing, you want to do the opposite way. So in the first period time when the wine was introduced to China, still recognized as the Shiraz, as those traditional heavy body or full body wine. But now the young people have started to walk away from that kind of the perception, and also started to picking or appreciating the slightly like elegant and also lightweighted wine. So I think this is also aligned with the insight of what previously we've mentioned, the white wine and also the rosé are more and more be welcomed by the young people, just because it's very accessible, and also from the taste wise is it's entry level, I would say, to to really appreciate the wine and gradually to work towards the taste and the wine that they would feel like to enjoy. So in the young consumer market, 4 key highlights of the behaviors: high frequency. So young people, so they have so many gatherings, occasions, whether it's from friends or the family. So they have a high frequency of wine consumption occasions, and also they are looking for like affordable pricing, which is very reasonable and also aligned with what their current economic situation is. And also the innovative packaging is something that will attract their attention, and also it's a easier way for them to differentiate from the rest of the wine that their parents are drinking. And the sweeter flavors is also, as I mentioned, the semi-sweet and also towards like a sweet range are more easy to drink, and also especially female, it's more acceptable in the early stage. And this one is very interesting. So NOLO, this is what the social media or what this group of people has been recognized and also used this term to describe themselves, is either no or low alcohol market. So those group of people that they are more into like whether it's a no alcohol or just to have a very low alcohol to achieve just in the tipsy mode rather than to drink something that to get drunk. So within these market size, it's actually really growing in the past 3 years. So the growth by 2025 is around 743 million RMB. So this is the market size that we have seen from the no-low category. Even though this is a no or low, but most of the people prefer the low alcohol. And also the China low alcohol wine growth market is more than 7% year on year. So it's continued to grow. And for the preferred alcohol strength, as we have seen, so they're looking for like a low strength spirits or those mild buzz adds and the touch of the sophisticated life. So they're not looking for something to get drunk, but it's more in a lifestyle that to give them a little bit like a tipsy mode and also to have a conscious drinking behavior, which is very wise. And also there are so many hashtags or the keywords has been used to spread out the whole culture or the categories that in Little Red Book, as in hashtag like tipsy, hashtag the drink moderately, and also hashtag like a low alcohol. So those are the trend now by young people, or what we call as a no-low category. So it's very working to the favor of those white wine and also entry-level wine that in terms of the rosé and also Chardonnay, Sauvignon Blanc. So those are type of the wines that are picking up in the market demand as well, which are very much aligned to the trend by the Chinese consumer, this demographic. And now we look at the China e-commerce landscape. So I think probably most of the people are aware that the e-commerce system or the whole landscape in China is pretty advanced, and because of the facilities of the deliveries and also those apps are very easy to use, and so most of the people in China are very much used to living the e-commerce space. That for example, most of my friends who lives in China who they are relying on e-commerce shopping all the time. They haven't been to the offline stores for a long time. So this is just very normal to the people because we like in China, that the delivery time is very fast, that you don't need to wait for weeks or months. So it's most of the time they're on the same day delivery, or some of the retailers that they promise to deliver the product within half hours. So it's more convenient and also more cost efficient, more opportunities for people to shop on e-commerce. So giving this foundation, I think for all the industry, especially for the wine industry, it's still worth and need to catch up with this whole trend in the e-commerce space and get ready for the consumers when they are looking for you on the marketplaces like this. And then we look at how big the alcohol market in China. So the China alcohol market is currently valued at 160 billions, which we have mentioned previously. So the market is expected to generate around 333 billions by end of this year. So this is another interesting fun fact, as the average at-home Chinese consumer consumes at least around 28.5 liters of alcohol per year. Just to give you some reference, in Australia, the average at-home consumers consumption at least is only 10 liters of alcohol per year. So this is how much more that the Chinese consumers can consume in terms of the alcohol. So this is just like sometimes that you would think that Australian people drink a lot of wine, but actually we drink more than you. And also the market annual growth rates could potentially reach around 2.27% from this year to 2029. So the reason why I mentioned this one is that we're looking to the overall market value, and then we're looking to the how big the market value in the e-commerce. So we look at the China global share for online alcohol sales. So 39% of the overall e-commerce consumptions are in alcohol consumption. So this is a really significant, given that there's so many other things that you can purchase from e-commerce, like your daily use of the food, and also fashion, shopping, etc. So all of that, but still the alcohol consumption is still within 39% of the overall e-commerce, and it's continued to grow on the average of 16% over the last 3 years. So this is a really a significant numbers for the online drinking or online consumption behavior group. And then to the right side, that the 53% of the people in China who are purchasing alcohol online. So this is already confirmed within the overall consumption. Already more than half of the people are preferred to purchase their alcohol online. And we're just comparing to all the other countries in the e-commerce behaviors that we're still ranking number one, and followed by Brazil, UK, and Japan. So this is the kind of like a trend, and also the fact that the more and more people are started to purchasing wine or alcohol online. So it's still very important, and it will be more and more people to shift this behavior from offline to online. But doesn't mean that your offline presence is not important. I think having multiple touch point and presence across offline and online are still very important to build your brand present and also awareness across the market, which we were talking about in the touch point later on. Yeah, so this is again emphasis of the consumption that online versus offline, and the growth rate of the China wine e-commerce market sales is going to continue growing on the average for the 40%. And then we look at the wine in the e-commerce versus the total consumptions. I think the market value shares of the wine within the total beverage and alcohol market, so the TBA is the total beverage and the alcohol, Within this market, it's a 13% of the whole market share, and also in the overall, the value of the share of the wine within the TBA market in China is 3%. So this is combined with online and offline. So in the together, it's only 3%. But if we look at the e-commerce side, it's already 13%. And on the right side for the core consumer groups, so Gen Z, I mentioned in early stage that the female are more started to appreciate why the younger age, and the Gen Z has been, the female Gen Z has been stronger in terms of the wine consumption than the Gen Z male. So the age of the Z consumers are very satisfied with their online shopping experience. If we're mapping out all of this demographics, female, Gen Z, and also online. So this is the major journey of those consumers are purchasing their wine and alcohol and drinks. And this is a overview of the e-commerce landscape that I like to share with you. So not necessarily that you will engage with all of them, but the most important is for the middle part, that where you're looking to the import from overseas to China, the cross-border e-commerce platforms. So there are multiple channels that from B2B, B2C, and also there's a B2B2C, and also cross-border, what is very specifically unique to China market. So all of those channels are still within the e-commerce landscape. And you don't have to be all of them, but there are different channels that you can work with, and also depends on your current status of the business and also which market that you're trying to target to. So mainly for the B2C area, as what we know, like the Tmall, JD, Redbook, and also the Douyin, those are the major e-commerce or shopping or social e-commerce platforms that are dominant in China at the moment. And there are also a lot of the B2C channels that specifically towards the alcohol or food and beverage category. So there are a lot of more choices than what you think. So the most important is to have your clear export strategies that for the online, offline, and of course that you will work with your distributors across different channels. So this map is mapping out those approach that you can take into the market, and also involve some of the local buyers, local domestic brands that who are doing the direct operated stores themselves. So from the left to right side, on the left side, imagine you're the brand, and also generally you will work with the importer or distributor who representing your brand to working with the local platforms and the retailers, etc. So if we go from the very top side, the liquor brands on the platform. So a lot of the key players, the domestic brands in China, given that they have a long history in the market and they have been pretty much in the market since the very beginning, like those Baijiu brands I mentioned. So those brands that generally they have their own branded owned platforms that the consumers can directly purchasing from them, from their app or their mini stores. So by doing this is to give them the authenticity of the purchase of the items is authentic and the real product that coming from that, because there's a lot of the fraud or copied product that are available in the market, unfortunately. So this is the one category from the local domestic brand that who are generally operating their own stores. And the middle range, which are more relevant to our scenarios that to exporting to China. So there are liquor focused e-commerce platforms. So those are the platforms that are only selling alcohol and the beverage drinks. And then there are also the local live platforms that the people are using on daily basis to get the lunch, food, and also those daily grocery shopping. And the third one, which is the social e-commerce platforms, as I mentioned, like the Little Red Book, Douyin, WeChat, those are the social medias that people are using on daily basis to communicate to their friends, family, but also they have the e-commerce ecosystem that they can tap into their channels and still within the same ecosystem, but they can complete the transactions within one app without going outside of the other platforms. And then another one, which are the major marketplaces within the e-commerce, and also most of them are integrated with all the payment channels and also the social media channels. So within the Taobao, JD, Tmall, PDD, so those are the major e-commerce marketplaces that people are purchasing, and also they can use their payment like Alipay or WeChat Pay to complete the transactions. So those are the major e-commerce players or the categories that within the system. And then once they purchase they would directly what they call the local distribution or the logistic company that to dispatch the product within the given time frame. And another part, which is underneath, there's also some business service platforms that only serves to the B2B category. It's mainly for the bulk purchase wine. And also those are directly working with the resellers, and the reseller can directly either supply the stock to the e-commerce or to the other retail stores that are going to be, for example, the nearby grocery stores or any supermarkets that near the communities. But end of the day, it's delivered to the consumers. And one special categories that I think probably some of the resellers, some of the wineries are already doing, which is what we call as a hospitality groups that supply the stock to the restaurants, hotels, and KTVs, bars, etc. So those are still very important for the wine industry that within the offline categories. Great. So after all of those e-commerce landscape and also talk about the behaviors from the young people to the wine drinker consumptions, I think it's still very important to have the knowledge to understand what sort of the touch points and also the journeys that the consumers are easily going to be experienced from 0 to 1 stage, and also coming to the purchasing of your wine. So this is the top preferred purchasing channels of when they come down to the beverage, including the wine. So these are multiple choices, and we segmented into the offline and online. So for the offline, the supermarket and liquor stores are the most preferred channels. But for the online, there are multiple choices coming from the integrated e-commerce platforms, as I mentioned, like JD, Tmall, Taobao, and also the social or interest e-commerce platform like Douyin, Little Red Book. And also those liquor stores, they also have the e-commerce platforms available for people to purchase. And last but not least, they have those food-oriented platform that people are purchasing their lunch or dinners or takeaways, and those platforms also have the option for people to add on to their drinks option. So within these channels, it's still very much like a huge segmentations, but when it comes down to the details of the touch points, I think for the online, the consumers are accumulated to shopping through the e-commerce platforms, not only from the major platforms like JD, but also the live streaming is another big driver currently for the wine categories. and also the content seeding are more and more popular. That influence into the consumer's decision making, because each touch point when the consumers are experiencing online, they are going to determine whether they are purchasing the brand A or B, because in the wine consumption category, I think the brand loyalty is not that strong yet, especially in the everyday wine category, not like those premium and luxury wine. And also for the typical online shopping path, it's coming down to the search and reviews, interact with the brand and the order. So this is a very streamlined and simple, linear touch point. But of course, that most of the consumers that they are coming back and forth between like the search, reviews, and check with the customer service, that's just to find out more and more, because the taste is very subjected to individuals. You can't really just rely on someone that who recommended this type of wine, which are suitable for them, doesn't mean that it's 100% suitable for you. So throughout those reviews and the research is also one pathway. And also if the brand or the wines providing those tasting opportunities, I think this is also another big component for people to actually engage in the choosing the right wine for them. So this will linking back to the offline experience as well. As I mentioned, it's not just absolutely only online or only offline. It's combined with both channels now, and the touch point is throughout the whole place everywhere. So the brand opening offline experience stores or particular participating in offline wine tasting, as I mentioned, is very important for the first step when the wine introducing to the market. This is the direct way for your consumers to get to know about you, and also, as I mentioned, the tastes are very subjective to individuals. If they appreciate and like the taste of your wine, I think that's a really good starting point to get the consumers into your whole conversion journey. And omni-channels marketing strategies are also combined online, offline, have becoming the mainstream, and also lead the consumers from the very beginning towards the purchasing actions. So from the online touch points, just want to quickly mention about the search part. So the search is the most cost efficient way that when people are in the market looking for options. So for wine, from your perspective, that I think for wineries that it's really important to be there, and also when people are searching for your wine, especially you already done a fair bit of the work for your brand awareness, and then all of those channels that when people are searching for you, if they are searching for your brand name exactly, that's exactly what they are looking for. So that's the place that you need to be there to capture those leads and conversions online. And search is also very important, given the whole consumption behaviors that it's more like a passive advertising. It's there when people are looking for you, but still, like there's also other way to influence the people of this search, which is like a proactive advertising. I mentioned about the seeding previously. So seeding is a couple of the way to seeding. So working with those wine educators to get the third party spread out your knowledge about your wine, and also sharing their experience about your wine taste and category. So this is a one time, and the more people talk about your product, your wine, the better. So it means that there are lots of the consumers already tried, and also they are sharing their different feedback to giving the reference for the consumers there who are in the market to look for a similar product or some choices. So all of those platforms, from WeChat to Tmall, Little Red Book, Douyin, etc. So they are all have the functions for wine to get seeding into it. So you can have your own content generated from your account, and also you can work with those influencers or the wine drinkers to have those education piece send it out. And live streaming, I just want to take this out and as a separate conversation apart from all those other settings. So it's very unique to the China e-commerce business, I believe. So the live streaming has been, I think, it's very mature now in China. So they are already the major forms of the alcohol sales conversions, and people are going to those live streaming channels like the Douyin and the Tmall, are just watching how people are introducing the wine and just having different opinions about this wine. So, and it's like bringing the TV shopping into social media channels. So currently 83% of the alcohol sales are coming from the live streams, and the others one are more like for the e-commerce and also just without watching the live streaming and they are purchasing. So this is a still very significant driver for the sales, but doesn't mean that it's absolutely the right strategy for your brand. Just because looking to the consumers' average consumption value in the live streaming is still towards the about 100 to 200 RMBs wine, and sometimes that they are still selling a very cheap wine. So still, even though the volumes are very high, but the average consumption values are not yet towards the medium to premium price range. However, the year-on-year growth on the Douyin e-commerce platform is growing significantly. So still, I think more and more live streamers are trying to bring their consumers towards a more mature, and also to teach them how to appreciate those more premium and fine wine. And another online touch point is communicate. So once the people are searching online, searching on the social media, and also they've seen those seeding content. And another one is communicated to the customer service. So this is still very important. The customer service of each platform are generally managed by the store manager. So they are providing the very tailored recommendations to the individual preference. So generally, these private communications become like the private sales opportunities for the brands that to close the loop of the sales. So not necessarily as the open to the public communication, but it's more like an individual one-on-one consultations. And then all of those platforms can purchase the product and also close the loop in the order. And some of the platforms that they will have the incentive for the consumers to adding more into the cart, as in if they meet up an X amount of the dollar value, they can maybe free shipping, or they can guarantee to deliver the product within 30 minutes. So all of those incentive is subjected to each of the individual platforms. But still, I think it's a very good touch point that for the consumers to feel they are having the advantage after purchasing online. But after the purchase, I still haven't finished the whole touch point. So as the brand owner or the store managers, it's still encouraged to follow up with the consumers, that to getting the feedback and to getting them to sharing their feedback across their social medias, to get more and more people be aware. So this is a really healthy circle or loop of each of the brands that who can follow as the best practice, that to close the whole loop and then still continue to join your loyal program, or having those incentive for people to share and to basically share with their friends and family and get more awareness that out of the consumers that who purchase with you. So the online touch point with the consumer experience, I think it's very important to say like the most trusted professionals accessories are the wine educators. Those are, I think wine categories are very different from all the other industries that who are easily can work with the influencer. But for the wine category, I think the influences, there are two parts. There are one category of the wine educators that who are absolutely know the knowledge about wine and also know how to educating the consumers to appreciate the different type of the wines. But then there's another side that there are influencers who are just sharing some pretty photos and the lifestyle kind of the influences. Doesn't means that you only need to work with the wine educators. It means that the working with the wine educators to promoting your wine brand stories and also your wine categories and the taste, etc. So those are important. But also still working with those lifestyle influencers are just creating more buzz into the market to getting more and more people start talking about your brand and your wine. And then for the offline touch point and the supermarkets, I think most of people are aware of those logos from Fresh Hippo and the Sam's, Costco. Those are the big players in the space that to selling the alcohol. So one thing that I just want to quickly mention of the Fresh Hippo, so they have a program that's supporting the alcohol and wine category, which is the what they call it as 18X. So means that if the consumers are purchasing with a Fresh Hippo on the alcohol or drinks, so they are guaranteed that they will be delivered within 18 minutes. So this is the very strong incentive for consumers to purchase with the Fresh Hippo on the alcohol. And also to convert the people who are purchasing Fresh Hippo on the other groceries, but not yet wine or the alcohol. So if they add one items from the alcohol or drink category, so all of the product that they purchase in the cart that will be delivered within 18 minutes. So this is really good programs that for wineries and also good incentive for consumers to purchase with the Fresh Hippo on the alcohol and the wine consumption. And this is the more like the offline touch points that outside of the marketplaces or the ecosystem. So this is very much like the, as I mentioned, the Little Red Book has becoming the most influential channels that to influence people's behavior on the alcohol consumption or the wine consumptions. So there are daily activities that are happening on the Little Red Book that people are sharing the local map of the bars and then the drinks and what they call the city drink. So this is absolutely organically shared by the consumers. By each of the city, if you're going to for example, based on your IP address, if you open up the Little Red Book, there will be multiple content that people are shared by the local people to give you the guidance of where to drink and how to drink. So what's the map that you need to drink within each of the cities, which is really interesting. And also it's a campaign that organized by Little Red Book throughout the whole cities in the whole country. So what they call the city drinks, so hashtag city drinks. Then there will be you will find the best way to drink and also the best wine, alcohol to drink. So this is just a very fun fact that there are multiple touch points that the people now are looking for the way to drink and influence those young people's behavior. And I think more and more those like small bars are coming out in the China. I believe most of the resellers or your distributors are covering those restaurants and the bars. And I think bistro is really much like happening in the tier 1 to tier 3 cities. And this is very significant touch point for young people to be aware of your product. And also they're always drawn into those very unique bistros that who are hiding the hidden gem, and also those have a very nice food, because when we consuming the alcohol, it's always combined with a good food and a good friends and the whole environment. So those bistros doesn't necessarily as the big purchasing consumption of your wine, but it's a really good strong touch point for your brand awareness. And also working with those unique bistros will, you can have like identify like a campaigns they're running on monthly basis, or different campaigns that to introducing different categories of your wine. So there are total 770,000 bistros in China across mainly tier 1 to tier 3 cities. And also it's like a social sense that the friends, family are always gathering at those places, and catering to the young people who love drink, and also especially those no or low alcohol category. And also the highway shops, which is a very interesting and unique stores that are happening in China now. So it's like a straight social retail liquor convenience stores. It's not necessarily as the liquor stores like in Australia, but it's more like you can think this as more a vending machine type of the shops, but having very fancy display stores that young people are generally like to hang out there, and they can just self-service their wine, but they are all gathering outside of the store, either just standing or or squatting on the street. So this is kind of the trend now that the young people are socially hang out, because for this kind of the shops that for young people it's very affordable. They don't need to pay for the actual like service of the having the table set up and customer service, so they can just self-service their the drinks that they can go into the store and pick the product that they like, and they can just hang out outside of the stores that they have the open space there to hang out. It's very unique and also interesting experience. If you ever going to China, definitely worth to try. So I think as the key takeaways of today's sessions, the first one is the dynamic growth in the wine e-commerce. So the Chinese e-commerce market is highly dynamic and with rapid growth in wine sales online. And the second one is consumer profiles. As I mentioned previously, understanding the profiles of the Chinese e-commerce consumers is crucial for your effective marketing strategies, especially nowadays that the younger generations are pretty much living on the e-commerce. They are living on their phone. Offline touch points are still important, but as in the conversion side, that is still everything happening within their phone. So understand your consumer's profile and then develop your marketing approach strategies are very important. And the third one is as in the whole e-commerce landscape overview, not necessarily as working with all of those channels, but to identify which channel is the most effective for your brand to engaging with your consumers, and also work with your offline touch points to linking all of those dot points into the whole journey and close the loop with the retention strategies behind. And the fourth one is to have a clear touchpoint analysis map of your business approach within the online and offline to understand the whole holistically, how many touchpoints that you are available in the market and how can you optimize those touchpoints from the experience wise and also from the consumer's perspective. How can you bring in the better stories to them? How can you leverage the existing channels that you are on to have a full 360 degrees experience that you're offering to the consumers. And so I think I speak very quickly these sessions. Just wondering if there's any Q&As for this session, or maybe we can have these Q&A sessions after. If you have any questions there, feel free to send to Wine Victoria, and we will follow up with any other insights, and hopefully to see you next week.
No one's got any questions that I can see. Okay. All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much, Christy and Jenny, for your time today. And if there are any questions that do come through, I'll be sure to pass them on. And as we look forward to next week's workshop.
No problem. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks, Helani.
Thank you.